where money meets politics. It's the Larry Kudlow Show.
Welcome back, everybody. I'm Larry Kudlow. It's great to be with you. I want to go to a rising Republican star and a great friend, Nan Hayworth, Congresswoman from Westchester County in New York. First of all, Nan, thank you for coming on a Saturday. And I want to ask you about another. I just had David Dreyer on the phone talking about his tax reform plan. David Dreyer, one of the great pro-growth congressmen in the last bunch of decades. But there's another nasty story that I want to get your comment on. House and Senate aim to prevent shutdown before election. Nan, are we looking at a government shutdown? The Senate won't pass any appropriation bills, and I don't know what's going to happen in the House.
There is absolute dedication to getting things done responsibly in the House, Larry. And by the way, it's always a privilege to be with you on a Saturday or any other day. But the Speaker, Majority Leader Eric Cantor, Kevin McCarthy, our whip, have all made statements in the past few days which verify that we do not intend to shut down the federal government. We want to keep things functional, but we are certainly driving toward a goal, and we've been talking about it consistently, but certainly we know that we have to save this economy, and we are headed toward disastrous consequences with the tax-mageddon, with the fiscal cliff. Call it what you will. Ernst & Young just delivered a devastating report on what those tax increases will mean for our economy. So we have to seriously address the issues that we face on both tax and spending sides. And within that context, no, we are not going to shut down the federal government, but we are absolutely determined to do the right thing.
But to avoid Republican responsibility for a shutdown, Nan Hayworth, doesn't the House have to pass a continuing resolution? And this is something that Senator Ron Johnson and Senator Jim DeMint have talked and written about. They've been guests on my shows. You all at the House have to get a CR out. It's a little technical, but that just means you run the government at the current levels, probably the Budget Control Act levels. But if you do that, you'll put the pressure on the Senate Democrats. If you don't do that, Nan, you may be blamed for it.
Blamed for shutdown.
Yes, blamed for shutdown.
Well, and let's bear in mind, Larry, if you look at who has wanted to bring this economy to its knees, looking at the broad picture, which we have to, Senator Reid, under his leadership, the Senate has acted on perhaps 10%, only on the must-pass bills, in virtually every instance, with rare exceptions. The House Republican majority with Democratic votes almost always. We have worked across the lines to send dozens of economy growing, citizen liberating, taxpayer respecting, spending cutting resolutions, bills to the Senate, and they've just sat. So in terms of who is trying to get things done, the American public has got to appreciate, and certainly I hear it on the ground in our district, that it's the House majority that is working with all its might to represent the best interests of the American people.
So you also have to get through a vote that will have full extension of the Bush tax cuts, right? Otherwise, the Senate passed a vote that would, tax the rich. Okay, that's the Obama idea, tax the rich with a 1.5% GDP. They want to tax successful small business owners, which to me is astonishing. But
makes no sense.
You've got, in addition to a continuing resolution to stop a shutdown, what's the schedule for voting to a full extension of the Bush tax cuts?
I believe that vote is coming next week. I don't control the schedule, but I'm virtually certain we have a resolution coming to the floor next week, a bill coming to the floor next week to permanently extend those tax cuts.
All right, so that's good.
To extend those tax cuts for at least a year, I'm sorry.
Right, for at least a year. So you've got really the two. You've got the continuing resolution. I mean, there's really only about 3 weeks of working time left. Is that the deal?
Right.
I mean,
that's right before the election. Yep.
So again, I come back to this idea.
Yeah.
With a 1.5% GDP, which is the front end of a recession. It is the front end of a recession.
Absolutely.
You've got the tax cut issue and you've got the government shutdown issue, Nan Hayworth. These are very important issues. The economy can't take defeat of both.
Right. No.
There's got to be action.
Right.
There's got to be action.
Right. And the House is acting, and you know that, Larry, and I'm sure your listeners are smart people. They know that the House is absolutely acting. The Senate has obstructed. The Senate is acting, unfortunately, only to sink us as we approach the January 2013 deadline.
And this is an election year issue. This is an election year issue.
It's a huge election year issue, and certainly it's going to drive the House, the Senate, and the presidential. And that's what I hear consistently in the Hudson Valley of New York.
Thank you, Nan Hayworth. We appreciate it. Congresswoman Nan Hayworth of New York. We appreciate it. I'm Larry Kudlow. We'll be back with Money